The day before the wedding felt like a dream Aking had waited for her whole life. Luwala Springs was glowing under the warm evening sun, and she held her wedding dress close to her chest like it was a piece of her heart. It was the most precious thing she owned, soft, white, and beautiful in a way that made her believe her future could finally be bright. She kept smiling to herself, imagining the moment she would walk down the aisle, the music, the flowers, the love in the air. Everything felt perfect, almost. But every time she turned around she caught Barika Tembo, her stepmother, staring at her with eyes full of something dark, jealousy, bitterness, something Aking didn't fully understand. Barika would pause in doorways, fold her arms, and look Aking up and down as if the dress, the happiness, even the wedding itself somehow offended her. Once she muttered under her breath, "Some people get more than they deserve," but Aking tried to pretend she didn't hear it. Aking wanted peace. She wanted happiness. She didn't want to believe Barika could ruin anything, especially not right before the biggest day of her life. So she kept brushing off the strange stares and cold comments, telling herself it's just nerves. Weddings make everyone stressed. But deep inside, a small uneasiness kept tugging at her chest, a quiet warning she didn't know how to listen to. She didn't realize Barika wasn't just being rude, she was planning something cruel, something that would change everything. And if Aking had known what was coming, she would have held her dress, and her heart, even tighter. The morning of the rehearsal was supposed to be calm and beautiful. Aking woke up with a smile, thinking about the day ahead, checking decorations, practicing her walk, laughing with her bridesmaids. She hummed softly as she walked toward her room, ready to take one last look at the dress that meant everything to her. But the moment she pushed the door open, her heart stopped. Her wedding dress, the dress she saved for, dreamed about, and held like a piece of her soul, was lying on the floor. Not folded, not hanging, not safe, destroyed. The fabric was ripped from the waist down, long vicious cuts like claws. The delicate embroidery was torn apart. Dark stains covered the once bright white material. It looked like someone had stepped on it, dragged it, and crushed it on purpose. Aking couldn't breathe. Her hand flew to her mouth as tears instantly burned her eyes. And then she saw her. Barika Tembo stood right over the ruined dress, holding a pair of scissors like a trophy. She didn't even pretend to hide what she'd done. She just smirked, slow, proud, cruel, as if she had been waiting for this moment. Aking's voice shook. Why would you do this?" Barika tilted her head, her eyes full of spite. "Because a girl like you doesn't deserve anything this beautiful. You think you're special. You're not. You needed a reminder." Aking felt her knees go weak. The room spun. All the dreams she held so carefully suddenly shattered right in front of her. She dropped to the floor beside the dress, her fingers trembling as she touched the ruined fabric. Still smelled like hope. Now it smelled like heartbreak. She couldn't hold it in anymore. She broke down. Loud, painful sobs filled the room as she clutched the destroyed gown to her chest. She had imagined wearing it as she walked toward her future. Now it felt like someone had ripped her future apart too. Barika didn't comfort her. She didn't apologize. She didn't even look guilty. She simply walked past Aking, brushing her shoulder as she passed, like destroying the dress was nothing more than an annoying chore. Aking stayed on the floor for a long time, crying until she could barely breathe. Her dreams, her excitement, her happiness, all lying in pieces around her. In that moment, she felt completely helpless, unaware that life was about to change in a way Barika could never control. When Mr. Moyo came home that afternoon, Aking felt a tiny spark of hope. She was still shaken, still heartbroken, but she believed, just for a moment, that her father would defend her, that he would see the truth, that he would finally stand by her the way a father should. She gently led him toward her room, her hands shaking. The ruined wedding dress was still on the floor, the cuts and stains even more painful to look at in the daylight. Aking's eyes were red and swollen from crying, but she tried to stay calm. "Baba, look what she did," she whispered. But before her father could take a single step inside, Barika rushed forward, holding her chest dramatically, tears already rolling down her cheeks like she had rehearsed it all morning. "Oh, Moyo," she cried loudly, grabbing his arm. "I tried to stop her, I swear I did. But she She ruined her own dress. And now she's blaming me because she wants attention before the wedding. Akiing's jaw dropped. What? Baba, that's not true. But Barika cut her off with another sob, clinging to Mr. Moyo like a helpless victim. She's been so stressed. You know how emotional girls get before weddings. I think she did this because she wants people to feel sorry for her. Mr. Moyo's face hardened instantly. He didn't look at the dress. He didn't look at the scissors still lying on the table. He didn't even ask Akiing a single question. He just turned to her, eyes full of anger. Akiing, he barked. Stop this nonsense. Her heart dropped. Baba, please. Enough, he shouted. How dare you accuse your stepmother of something like this? She has done everything for this family. Meanwhile, you're behaving like a spoiled child. Akiing felt like she had been slapped. Barika sniffed dramatically beside him, wiping fake tears with her fingertips. I only want peace in this house, she whispered softly, pretending to tremble. Mr. Moyo pulled away from Akiing as if she disgusted him. Apologize, he ordered. Right now. Akiing stared at him, speechless. Apologize. For something she didn't do. For something Barika had destroyed right in front of her. Her voice cracked. Baba, my dress, my wedding. How can you not see what's happening? He pointed toward the floor. I said apologize, Akiing. And at that moment she felt something inside her break, something deeper than sadness. It was the painful realization that she had no one in that house. No one who believed her. No one who cared. Barika stood behind Mr. Moyo, her lips curling into a tiny victorious smile the moment he wasn't looking. Akiing swallowed the lump in her throat, her hands shaking. She didn't apologize. She couldn't. Instead, she quietly stepped back, tears streaming down her face, feeling more alone than she had ever felt in her life. In that moment, she understood a truth that hurt more than the shredded dress. She wasn't just losing her wedding. She had already lost her family. That night, the house felt colder than ever. Akiing slipped out into the backyard because she couldn't breathe inside those walls anymore. She sat behind the old mango tree, hugging her knees, tears running down her face long after she thought she had none left. The grass was damp, the night air heavy, and every time she closed her eyes, she saw her ruined dress lying on the floor, and her father choosing Barika over her without a second thought. She tried to stay quiet, afraid Barika might hear her crying and enjoy it. Her heart felt bruised, like someone had squeezed all the hope out of it. She kept whispering to herself, "Why me? What did I ever do to deserve this?" Her chest tightened with every breath. Just then her phone buzzed. First she ignored it. She thought it was probably someone from the wedding team asking about details she no longer had the strength to handle. But it kept ringing. Reluctantly, she looked at the screen. Attorney Jafari Okumu, her mother's lawyer. Her heart skipped a beat. He rarely called unless it was something serious. With shaky fingers she answered. "Hello," her voice cracked. "Akiing," the lawyer said immediately. Calm, steady, almost urgent. "Where are you? I've been trying to reach you." I'm at home," she whispered, wiping her tears with the back of her hand. "Is everything okay?" There was a pause, like he was choosing his words carefully. "Akiing, listen to me. I need to see you immediately. Tonight, if possible." Her stomach tightened. "Why? What happened?" Another pause. Then he spoke in a quiet but firm voice, the kind that made her sit up straighter. "Your mother left something for you. Something you were never told about. Something huge." Akiing froze. "My mother. But she passed away years ago." "I know," he said gently. "And she prepared for this moment long before. You deserve to know the truth." Her heartbeat suddenly felt loud in her ears. For a moment, she forgot about the ruined dress, the shouting, Barika's smirk, her father's betrayal. All she could think about was her mother. The warmth in her smile, the softness of her hands, the way she always whispered, "I will always protect you." "Please come," Attorney Okumu continued. "It cannot wait." Akiing wiped her tears again, this time with a new kind of urgency. Something inside her, something she thought was broken, flickered back to life. "Tiny spark of hope," she whispered. "I'll come. And as she stood up from the grass, a strange feeling washed over her, like her mother, even from the other side, had reached out her hand to pull her away from the darkness. Aking didn't know what awaited her in Barika City, but she felt for the first time that day like her life was about to change. The drive to Barika City felt unreal. Aking kept staring out of the window of the taxi, her fingers twisting together in her lap. Her heart was beating fast, not from fear, but from that strange flicker of hope that had returned the moment Attorney Oakham called. She didn't know what to expect. She only knew it had to be something big, something her mother had kept hidden for years. When she finally reached the tall glass building where the law office was, she hesitated at the door. Her dress was still ruined. Her eyes were swollen. She felt broken, but she pushed herself inside anyway. The receptionist immediately guided her to a private room where Attorney Jafari Okumu was waiting. He stood up as soon as he saw her. "Aking, thank you for coming so quickly." She nodded nervously. "You said, there's something my mother left for me?" "Yes," he said, his voice calm but filled with importance. He opened a thick folder on his desk and turned it toward her. "Your mother prepared everything before she passed. She wanted to make sure you were protected, especially from certain people in your life." King felt a chill. She knew exactly who he meant. "I don't understand," she whispered. Attorney Okumu took a deep breath. "Your mother was not just a teacher, or the quiet woman people knew. She invested heavily and wisely. She owned shares in 3 copper mining companies, 2 shipping businesses, and large farmland estates outside Barika." Aking blinked, confused. "What? My mother? But she never said anything." "She didn't," he agreed softly, "because she feared the money would attract the wrong attention. She wanted you to be safe until you were old enough to handle everything yourself." He slid a document toward her. "All assets were placed in a trust. And now the trust has been released. Everything belongs to you." Aking's breath caught. She leaned forward slowly, her eyes scanning the numbers. It didn't make sense at first. Her brain refused to believe it. Then she saw the total, $52 million. The world seemed to stop. Her chest tightened, her eyes widened. Her hand covered her mouth as she stared at the figure again and again, trying to make sure she wasn't imagining it. $52 million, she whispered, her voice barely a sound. Attorney Okumu nodded. "Your mother left it all in your name. She trusted only you. She knew what kind of woman Barika was, even back then. She wanted to protect you, even after her death." Aking couldn't hold it in. The tears came fast. But this time they weren't from pain. They weren't from shock or heartbreak. They were from gratitude, from the deep, overwhelming realization that her mother had loved her fiercely and silently, building a future for her while she had no idea. Her mother had seen the danger before Aking ever felt it. She had guarded her, shielded her, and now, lifted her out of her suffering. Aking pressed both hands to her face, sobbing quietly. "Mama, you still kept me safe." Attorney Okumu let her cry, giving her the space her heart needed. In that moment, Aking didn't feel broken anymore. She felt chosen, protected, powerful, and she knew her life was never going to be the same again. That night, Aking didn't go back home with the same heart she had left with. When she stepped out of the law office, the city lights of Barika felt different, brighter, warmer, almost like they were welcoming her into a new world. For the first time in a long time, she wasn't afraid. She wasn't small. She wasn't helpless. She was a woman who finally knew her worth. With her hands still trembling slightly, she called a private taxi and gave the driver an address she never imagined she would ever say out loud: the Pullview Hotel, the most luxurious hotel in the entire region. A place she had only seen in magazines. A place she thought was meant for people with lives far bigger than hers. But tonight she belonged there. When she arrived, the staff opened the car door for her with warm smiles. "Welcome, madam," they said, treating her with a respect she had never received in her own home. She walked into the marble lobby, the golden lights reflecting off the floor, and for a moment she felt like her mother was walking right beside her. She booked one of the top suites, a room with a view of the entire city, silky curtains, soft lights, and a bed that looked like a cloud. As soon as she stepped inside, she felt her chest loosen. The air felt safe, clean, free. She set her small bag on the floor and took a deep breath, letting the silence wash over her. No Barika. No shouting. No threats. No cold eyes judging her. Just peace. Next, she made another bold decision. She went to one of the most expensive bridal boutiques in Barika City. The kind of place she would never have dared to enter before. The staff didn't look down on her. They saw her confidence and treated her like a queen. They brought her gowns that sparkled under the lights. Gowns that made her feel beautiful in ways she had never felt. When she finally chose her dress, a stunning hand-beaded designer gown, she couldn't stop smiling. Not because it was expensive, but because it represented a new beginning. A fresh start that belonged to her alone. She also hired private security, just as Attorney Okumu advised. 2 trained professionals now guarded her suite, making sure nobody from her past life could touch her peace again. Not Barika, not her father, not anyone. Later that night, standing on the balcony of her hotel suite, looking over the glowing city, Aking wrapped her arms around herself and felt something she hadn't felt in years. Relief. She inhaled deeply, and the air felt lighter, fresher, like she was breathing for the very first time. She whispered into the night, "Mama, I'm finally free." And truly she was. Back at the Moyo house, Barika woke up the next morning expecting to find Aking crying somewhere. Maybe in her room, maybe in the kitchen, still broken, still easy to control. She was ready to give her one of those fake, sweet stepmother talks, just to keep her under her thumb. But the house was quiet. Too quiet. "Aking," she called out sharply. No answer. She checked the bedroom, empty. The backyard, nothing. The kitchen, untouched. Panic flickered across her face as she rushed around the house. Her voice got louder, harsher. "Moyo! She's not here. That girl left." Mr. Moyo stepped out of his room, still half asleep. Left? Where would she go? She has no money, no family, nothing. Barika swallowed hard, suddenly uneasy. She had always counted on Aking's silence, her fear, her lack of power. Controlling her had been easy. Until now. She stormed back into Aking's room and searched through her things, hoping to find a clue. But the closet was half empty. The few bags Aking owned were gone. The only thing left behind was the destroyed dress, the one Barika ruined with her own hands. "She ran away," Barika muttered, pacing the room. "That stupid girl ran away. She was supposed to stay here. We were supposed to handle her inheritance." Mr. Moyo frowned. "Inheritance? What are you talking about?" Barika froze. She hadn't meant to say that out loud. She turned slowly, forcing a smile. "Oh, I just mean when we get older, she will inherit this house. And we should guide her." But her voice wavered, and for the first time Mr. Moyo noticed. "Barika," he said sharply, "is there something you're hiding?" Barika ignored him and kept pacing. Her heartbeat was racing. This wasn't part of her plan at all. She had spent years pretending to care for Aking, waiting for the girl to grow up so she could manipulate whatever little money she might get from her late mother. But now Aking had run, without permission, without fear, without tears. And the house felt emptier, like something powerful had slipped out of their control. Meanwhile, life inside the Moyo household began to crumble faster than they expected. Bills started piling up. School fees, electricity, repairs. All the things Aking used to quietly cover from her small part-time income were now their burden. Mr. Moyo grew more frustrated each day. "Call her," he demanded. "Tell her to come back. She still has responsibilities here." Barika tried calling again and again, but Aking never picked up. She didn't answer messages either. It was like she had vanished into thin air. Barika's panic started turning into rage. How dare she leave us? After everything we've done for her. But deep down, she felt something she had never felt before. Fear. Because even though she didn't know the details yet, she could sense it. Aking wasn't weak anymore. Aking was no longer under her control. And whatever Aking had stepped into, was big. Bigger than anything Barika had ever imagined. The morning of the wedding arrived like a scene from a new life. Aking stood in front of her hotel mirror, wearing a gown that looked like it had been made from starlight. Soft beads shimmered with every breath she took, the long veil floated gently behind her, and her smile, calm, confident, reborn, was brighter than anything she had ever worn. Her makeup artist stepped back and whispered, "You look like a queen." Aking touched the gown lightly, still amazed this was real. Just days ago, Barika had destroyed her only dress, thinking it would break her. But now she was stepping into a wedding far grander, far more beautiful, and far more powerful than anything she had ever imagined. Outside the hotel, a sleek black luxury car waited for her. Security opened the door with respectful bows. As she sat inside, she felt her heart flutter, not from fear but from joy. The world outside the car looked different, like she was finally seeing it with her mother's eyes, the eyes of someone who knew her worth. When the car arrived at the wedding venue in Luwala Springs, guests turned their heads instantly. Conversations stopped. Cameras came out. Gasps filled the air. Aking stepped out slowly, her gown sparkling under the sun as if the sky itself was blessing her. "She looks incredible," someone whispered. "She's glowing. She's not the same girl." And she wasn't. But while everyone admired her entrance, two shadows moved at the edge of the crowd. Barika and Mr. Moyo. They had not been invited. They had no seats, no place, no right to be there. But they came anyway, hoping to confront Aking, to pull her back under their control. Barika walked forward wearing a bright smile, the kind she used when she wanted to pretend she cared. But the moment she saw Aking step fully into the open, that smile cracked. Because Aking didn't look hurt. She didn't look weak. She didn't look broken. She looked powerful. Her gown alone screamed wealth. Her jewelry sparkled like quiet proof of a life Barika knew nothing about. The elegant car behind her, the security escort, the confidence in her walk, everything told a story Barika couldn't understand. Barika's eyes widened, her mouth falling open in shock. What is this? How? She expected Aking to walk in looking humble, maybe borrowing a new dress, maybe still wounded enough to be controlled. Instead, Aking walked like a woman who owned her life. Mr. Moyo pushed forward, staring in disbelief. "Aking, what is all this? Who paid for?" But Aking didn't even look at them. She simply walked right past, her chin high, her steps steady and graceful. Guests admired her, complimented her, surrounded her with kindness, something she had rarely known at home. Barika's jealous smile faded completely. Her eyes darkened, her throat tightened, and for the first time in her life, she felt invisible, unimportant. Because the girl she thought she could destroy had arrived as a woman she could never touch again. A hush fell over the crowd the moment Aking finally turned to face the two people who had caused her the most pain. She stood at the center of the courtyard, her gown glowing softly under the white wedding lights, her posture calm and strong. Guests sensed something was about to happen and slowly gathered around, whispering, watching. Barika pushed forward first, her fake smile stretching painfully. "Aking, my dear, we just came to..." "To what?" Aking cut her off gently, her voice steady. "To pretend you care. To pretend you didn't ruin my dress. To pretend you didn't try to break me." Barika froze. Mr. Moyo's face tightened as he stepped beside her, clearing his throat. "Aking, this is not the place to speak like this. You should respect." "For years I respected you," Aking replied, her tone still calm, almost too calm. "I stayed quiet. I tried to earn your love. I tried to make peace. But all I received was cruelty." People around them exchanged looks. Some already knew the rumors. Others had heard nothing until today. Barika laughed nervously. "Cruelty? You always exaggerate things. You ruined your own dress and then..." Aking lifted her hand, and the entire space went silent. "Barika," she said softly, "you didn't just ruin my dress. You tried to ruin my life." Barika's smile collapsed. Her face went pale. "That's not true." Aking stepped forward, her eyes locking onto hers. "Do you know what happened after you destroyed my dress?" Mr. Moyo frowned. "Whatever happened you should have told us. We could have fixed." "You already broke everything," Aking whispered. "But my mother, She fixed it long before either of you tried to destroy it. Then she turned slightly so the crowd could hear her clearly. Her voice was soft, steady, powerful. I went to see my mother's lawyer. Barika blinked rapidly. Why? There's nothing. There is, Aking said. More than you ever imagined. Guests leaned in closer. Even the musicians stopped tuning their instruments. Aking continued. My mother left everything she owned to me. She invested in copper mining, shipping companies, farmland, and she hid it all so people like you wouldn't steal from me. Barika stiffened. Mr. Moyo's mouth opened a little, as if the air had been punched out of him. Aking breathed in, then said the words that changed everything. She left me $52 million. The gasp that went through the crowd sounded like a wave hitting the shore. Barika stumbled back slightly. F-52. What? Mr. Moyo looked like the ground had disappeared beneath him. Aking, you're lying. You must be lying. Aking shook her head slowly, her eyes never leaving theirs. No. I'm finally telling the truth. Her voice softened, but her strength only grew. You destroyed my dress, she said, her gaze piercing Barika's soul. But all you really did was reveal the life my mother prepared for me. Barika swallowed hard, tears forming. Not from guilt, but from pure, burning envy. Aking took a step back, lifting her chin as the guests murmured in amazement. I don't hate you, she said quietly. I don't even want revenge. I just want you to know, you didn't break me. You freed me. Barika's face drained completely. Mr. Moyo looked like a man watching everything he once controlled slip out of his hands. And Aking, she stood there glowing, strong, fearless, unreachable. The truth was finally out, and for the first time ever, she felt nothing but peace. Aking took a deep breath as the music began to play. Every step down the aisle felt lighter than the last, as if the weight of years of pain and fear had finally lifted from her shoulders. Her gown shimmered under the sunlight, her veil floated like a cloud, and her smile was calm, confident, and unstoppable. Guests whispered, amazed at how radiant she looked. Some even wiped tears from their eyes, moved by the transformation they were witnessing.